So we're here with Mr. Serge Dauchy and with Dr. Óscar Cruz Barney, and we're going to talk a little bit about their backgrounds, and they're going to invite us to this great conference that's going to be held in Chihuahua, in Mexico. So first I'll go with Mr. Dauchy. Can you please tell me what is your area of expertise and what inspired you to pursue it?
My domain of expertise is legal and more especially judicial history. I started with my PhD working on the Middle Ages, on the 14th, 15th century, especially on the history of public law and the history of sovereignty. And I studied and made a PhD in Ghent, in Belgium, but also in Paris. And I started to become more and more specialist in civil procedure and history of civil procedure. And I have continued to be interested in civil procedure, not just technically, not just as a set of formalities, but also the choices that you make, or that the government, whatever that government is, the king or democratic government, the choices they make decide in a way of how people can resolve their conflicts, how they can have or not access to justice, if they need to have professionals to help them, what is the relation with these professionals. So it's not only procedure just to set up a bunch of formalities, but more what does it, what are the consequences of the civil procedural choices? So I'm less and less working on the Middle Ages. I'm more working now on early and late modern times, between the 17th and 19th century. I have developed a huge interest for the colonial context, French colonies in Louisiana and Quebec. And I have been studying now the transplant of law and institutions from the metropolis, from France, into these colonial territories, and how law and institutions have to adapt to the colonial environment, to the specific economic, social, political environment of these colonies. So it means also that when you do research on legal or institutional transplants, you have to compare. And that's how we became involved in cooperation with UNAM and with Óscar Cruz Barney, because of course you have nearly the same practices in the French colonial empire, in the Spanish colonial empire, but it's not completely the same. For example, you never had any university in the French colonies. So you could not train locally lawyers, whereas in Mexico you have a university already in the 16th century, which makes it completely different. If lawyers are coming with their background from France and implement French law in the colonies, or if you have lawyers who have been trained in Mexico and who are aware of the complete political, social, economical context of where they are going to work. And you find the same with Portugal. I don't think there have ever been any university in Brazil before Brazil became independent. Yeah. All the lawyers came from Portugal. They came with their books and with no knowledge of what happened really locally. So this brought us to a big program of comparative law. and particularly comparative law with Latin America, because you have a lot of people in Europe working with US and with Canada, and there is a lot to do, and I think comparative legal history is more interesting and more bringing more for the understanding of today's law if you compare it with what is comparable. And French or continental European legal history is perfectly comparable with Latin American legal history.
Yeah, and I think that you were saying something that's really accurate, that the comparison is always with United States or Canada, but we don't, maybe Latin America is a little bit unexplored. And due to all this research you do on all the academic work you do, I read you were awarded with the Sarton Medal back in 2010. Can you tell me a little bit about this award, what it consists of, what's the process? How did you feel when you were awarded this? Because I know it's one of the greatest awards one can receive in history, prize in history, right?
Well, it's an award indeed for the history of science. So, and I am very happy, of course, to get this medal, but I'm also very happy that they give that kind of medals to legal historians, meaning that they consider that law is a science and that we are doing scientific work. Because you could, of course, think history of science, it's people working on history of chemistry, history of physics, history of mathematics, and it's the only social science which is rewarded is law. There is only one medal, Sarton Medal for social sciences, and it's in law. So I was, of course, very, very happy to get that award. And I think probably it's because I have always been working in a transnational and comparative perspective. And if you look other people like Jean-Louis Alperin, who also got that medal for legal history, he, in the same way, is always working in a transnational and comparative perspective.
Okay, great. Now
I don't know what is the process. I only knew I was told to say that I got it, but it's probably like the Nobel Prize. You don't know what is happening because the closed doors of the jury, but the only thing you know is when you are contacted and that you are very happy when they tell you that you have been awarded.
Congratulations on that. And now, Dr. Oscar, can you tell me how did you guys met back in time? How did this academic relation started?
Yes, of course. Well, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, more, 7 years ago, this center with Serge Dauchy, they organized with another researchers from Finland, Heikki Pilemäjäki is the name of the researcher there. They organized a seminar in the town of Fiskars. And it was a seminar on trade law and business relationships and commerce. And they needed somebody to talk about the trade relationship between Spain and the territories of Latin, what is now Latin America. No? So because of a book I published in 1997 regarding international loans, sea loans, and insurance in the Atlantic world, they contact me and invite me to participate on this seminar. It was a fantastic seminar. We were like 20 degrees below zero on that town, but the discussions were really, really interesting, and because of that, we started talking about the idea and the necessity of putting in contact the French group of historians of law and the Mexican group of historians of law. We have a lot of things in common, as Serge has already mentioned, and not only the different practices during the presence of France or Spain in America, but also after the independence of the Latin American countries, there are a lot of influence on the codification, for example, or in regarding administrative practices or administrative justice. No, this that's a French concept that we receive in Latin America, and that we should work together on finding the common points of communication, and that we always, as we said, in Europe, they mostly work with Canada and the US. In Mexico and Latin America, we mostly work with Spain, some with Italy, but not with France, at least on history of law. So we think that we should start working, and then it was such an idea to create this international laboratory, which is like an international group of research, between UNAM and the center of the University of Lille. And we have been working for almost 4 years now, organizing a seminar in Mexico, a seminar in France, and going back and forward with working and publishing the results on a common publication.
Yes, and meanwhile, Óscar got also the title of Distinguished Professor of the University of Lille, which is also a high prestigious award. And it's because not only, of course, because of the relationship and the international laboratory we set up together, but also because of his achievements as a legal historian and all the scientific work he did.
Thank you. I really think that we have a great pair of lawyers there involved in history. So now I want to talk about what you mentioned, Dr. Óscar, about this laboratory. Whoever wants to answer this, can you tell us a little bit about the annual laboratory conference that will be held on May in Chihuahua? What is it going to be about? What topics will be discussed? A little bit about the organization, because I know that it is very hard to ask people for papers and to set up everything. So can you explain a little bit about this?
Maybe you want to talk about the idea of the laboratory, and then I can go into
what we call an international associated laboratory is a kind of laboratory without walls. So it's based on the cooperation of two research centers. This one is based on the Centre d'Histoire Judiciaire from Lille and the Instituto de Investigaciones Jurídicas from UNAM. We decided together to have for that laboratory one main research topic, and that main research topic is conflict resolution. And in particular, the relationship between state, official, formalized, institutional conflict resolution, and all the possibilities of what are called infra or extrajudicial conflict resolution. So we decided together that we would have 4 seminars, 2 in Mexico and 2 in Lille. One was together with our partners in Belgium, in Ghent, because we are here about 20 kilometers from the border. And we work together also with University in Belgium, in Ghent. And we had one conference about doctrine and legal norms, legislation about conflict resolution. And the next one is in Chihuahua, and the topic is actors of conflict resolution.
Yes. And what is important here is that we agree that the presentations could be made in Spanish, in French, or in English. The idea is also to get used to hear each other on their own language, not only English or Spanish, or not only English and French, but French, Spanish, English. No? And yes, it's the organization is quite complicated because you have to, to send invitations and organize the different sessions. And in this case, the university, the Autonomous University of Chihuahua, and through its Faculty of Law, they are supporting us on the organization, and they will receive all of these professors and researchers, and they are organizing in a 3-day conference, really with a lot of generosity and work capacity. And I think it's also a big opportunity for the University of Chihuahua to connect with the University of Lille, also with the participation of Gantz University. We will be having some professors from Brazil and from Argentina, from the US also, and of course France and Belgium. So it's I think it's a big opportunity of continue this communication of the two academies and the two ways of doing history of law, and to bring this international seminar, which is a first level international seminar, to Chihuahua. We already did one in the state of Veracruz. That was really successful. So I think it's a way also to put Mexico, let's say, on the academic map, not only in Spain but in the rest of this, in this case, France, which has one of the most important academies in Europe.
Yes, we are very grateful that Chihuahua is hosting the conference and helping us for receiving that conference, or organizing also the official parts of the conference. It's going to be a very nice conference with more than 20 papers.
Yes.
Very international. All the papers are really within the topic, but they are focusing on different actors, going from the Pope or the Emperor as an actor to the lawyer, the priest. So we really can see that when we speak of actors of conflict resolution, it's very, very broad. And of course, Óscar didn't say it, but Chihuahua is also close to his heart.
Yes.
Because his father was one of the founders of the university, and his personal history is linked to Chihuahua.
Yes,
so we are very pleased. And he also told us that it is a very good wine region. So we are also eager to discover, because I think this scientific part is very, very interesting and very important, but discovering places and discovering people is and meeting new people is also very, very important.
That's right.
Yeah, actually, Dr. Óscar is an expert in wine. I mean, it's really an experience, to be with him, learning about wine, having a cup of wine with him. It's one of the greatest experiences we will get to have there in Chihuahua. And also, I know that Óscar's passion is wine, but I wanted to know about you, Dr. Serge. Finally, outside of academics, can you share with us a personal hobby you have?
A personal passion that you have, some interests outside the academic.
My main passions are cooking, eating, and drinking good wine. So I'm not a very good representative of Lille, because we are not in a wine region here. We are more in a beer region. They have very good beers. That's what they tell me, because I nearly don't drink beer. I prefer wine. And I love food and good food. And that's also part of what is really nice in having such conferences, is that you discover other countries, other ways of of working from a scientific point of view, but you also discover people, you discover their food, their wine, so that's what I think one of the good things of our job is when you have the opportunity and the possibility of working together with others, that it's not, well, there is a time for working and there is a time also for enjoying what the place where you come can offer, to discover different ways of food, different kind of wine.
Yes, I agree. And in this case, I mean, France and Mexico, we have a lot of common history during the 19th century, no? Thinking on the French intervention and the Second Empire in Mexico, and then all of this huge influence of French law on the Mexican codification, and also the presence again of wine. No, if you see the menus of the parties in the 19th century Mexico, it's really incredible. The first trademark registered in Mexico is Moet Chandon, the trademark of this famous French champagne. It's the first one that was registered in our country. So this has been also an opportunity of interchange, common experiences, and in the case of wine, well, Chihuahua is one of these the most important wine regions in Mexico, and we will have the opportunity during the seminar to have a session, the last one, the final one, on a vineyard. No, on a vineyard that one of the Chihuahua's producers, Piñamora is the name of the producers, will be receiving us at their vineyard, and we will have the opportunity to talk on wine and history and law.
Great. Finally, can you please make an invitation to people that is going to watch this to come to this seminar to learn a little bit more about the topics we are going to have there?
Maybe we can make that in French and in Spanish.
Yes, please.
Okay. Bueno, a todos los que nos están viendo en esta cápsula, los invitamos a participar, a acompañarnos en el seminario, que será la semana del 13 de mayo en Chihuahua, en el Auditorio Rodolfo Cruz Miramomtes. Ahí los estaremos esperando. Pueden conectarse o contactar a la Facultad de Derecho de la Universidad Autónoma de Chihuahua para poder acudir al seminario. Ahí los esperamos.
Voilà, avec Óscar Cruz Barney, nous serions ravis de vous accueillir à cette conférence internationale qui va réunir des personnes de plusieurs nationalités pour travailler ensemble et avoir une réflexion ensemble sur la question des acteurs de la résolution des conflits. Je crois que c'est une véritable opportunité de rencontrer des chercheurs de France, du Mexique, mais également des États-Unis, du Brésil, d'Argentine, autour d'un thème qui est un thème historique, mais aussi un thème très, très actuel, qui est ancré dans la société aujourd'hui, comment et par qui résoudre les conflits. Donc, nous serions très heureux de vous accueillir, et vous êtes bien évidemment tous les bienvenus à cette très belle conférence qui aura lieu à Chihuahua au mois de mai.
Muy bien. Thank you so much. We're really happy to have this conversation. We're going to be meeting each other in Chihuahua. We're really grateful with Dr. Óscar for inviting us, and we'll see you there. Recuerda seguirnos en Digesto. Danos like, comparte y suscríbete.